Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Tuesday Talks with Darlene. Today, let's talk about when you feel bored with your own business. Now, before I start, please like, subscribe, share, comment, everything that helps me to get the message out there. I would love for this YouTube video, this episode, and my channel to go, get a lot larger. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, there's a phase in business that no one really prepares you for. The beginning is exciting. Everything is so new. Every win feels electric. Every idea feels so urgent that you just have to do every one of them. And then one day you realize it all feels familiar, predictable, and maybe even a little dull. That doesn't mean that you're failing at anything. It doesn't mean you've outgrown everything. And it definitely doesn't mean that you need to burn everything down. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You might think it does, but it doesn't. It just means that you're evolving. Now, boredom, it could be a sign of mastery. What once felt stretching now feels repeatable. That is fantastic. That means things are working. And that's not stagnation. That is actually competence. You've heard of the four, what is it? The um, incompetent something, whatever. You've now got to the competence because everything feels repeatable. It feels like you can do it easily. This is because you've built systems, skills, and that muscle memory. It's really good. It's so good, isn't it? The nervous system settles once something becomes familiar. Just tune in now to your body. What is happening when you think of your business? Does it feel relaxed? Does it feel exciting? Those two are fantastic. When the adrenaline of the new fades, but steadiness replaces it, that is when your nervous system settles. And steadiness can feel boring if you're used to the intensity, you're used to the adrenaline. That was me. I was in a career where adrenaline was so important. It was needed. And when I let go of that career, my body didn't know what to do. I would work on my business and I would need that high. I needed it. It got me through until I learnt I didn't need that anymore. I didn't need that high because I'd learnt other ways of recognizing wins and that in my business without that adrenaline. Because when you master things, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels grounded because your nervous system's settled. And grounded can be misinterpreted as uninspired if you equate excitement with growth, which is what I did. That adrenaline, that excitement for me, thought, oh, I'm growing, I'm growing, I'm growing. And steadiness doesn't mean you stop changing. Doesn't mean that at all. Because if you're aware, growth is quieter than overreaction. Big reactive change can be, this is just coming from me, can be loud. It could be deleting offers, rebranding overnight, pivoting impulsively just to feel that momentum again, to feel that adrenaline, to get that high. It can be addictive. And I was well aware that because of my career, because of needing that adrenaline, I was addicted to it. And I needed to relearn how to live life without it, how to run a business without needing the adrenaline, because I don't need the adrenaline. The adrenaline is there for emergencies, for when I need to fight or flight or whatever. That is when the adrenaline is important. Your real growth is deliberate. It might be refining your positioning, deepening your message, raising standards instead of replacing everything. Restlessness doesn't require destruction. You don't need to be a volcano. Sometimes it actually requires direction. I want you, before you make any big moves, I want you to understand what boredom is actually asking for. If you are feeling bored, instead of doing something, pause, pause, and actually ask. Say, boredom, what are you telling me? Because when you talk to the boredom, when you talk to that aspect of you, the answers that come through can be so profound, even if it's one word. We don't need a whole conversation to get the awareness. One word can be enough. When you pause, I want you to identify the real source of the restlessness. Are you creatively understimulated? You may need challenge, not collapse. Are you misaligned with your messaging? This calls for refinement, not reinvention. It may do. Of course, there comes a point where you may need to reinvent. That's okay. Listen though, ask. Or are you simply craving novelty? That's human. We are human beings. And this doesn't mean that your business is failing. It doesn't mean you're not being a good business owner. You're being a good business owner by listening. Boredom is information and it's not an emergency. Once you treat it as information, your response becomes more measured because we're responding, not reacting. Those two mean something totally different. Reacting is more when there's an emergency. When you react, you come from the emergency side of it. When you respond, you come from a calmer place. Because in business, for me personally, there's no real emergency. I went a whole, I think it was 2 weeks without having a website because I was changing things over. That wasn't an emergency. I didn't get online. I didn't like panic and go, oh my goodness, I don't know what. No, I just went, okay, you know what? Won't have a website for a while. At the time of recording this, I am having trouble transferring my episodes over from the first 4 seasons, and I'm still not panicking. They are still not out there on Apple and Spotify. All of these episodes are because I'm with a new host. I'm not panicking though, because you know what? I'm going to rebirth. When they go over, I'm going to have like a bit of a launching ceremony and say, guess what? My episodes are back on Apple and Spotify. I'm not panicking. And that is so cool. In the past, I would have panicked like crazy. The adrenaline would have been going. My cortisol levels would have been crazy. And now I'm like, you know what? I can't worry about it. It's out of my control. I'm doing everything I can. And there's a back and forth. And yes, it's a little frustrating. You can hear it in my voice. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it in my manner. I'm not worried. I'm not bored with my business. I love my business. And when things happen, I want you to adjust without burning it down. You don't need to burn things down. Why not update one layer of your business at a time? It could be your messaging, or maybe even those beautiful visuals that you do. Or what about the delivery? Not your entire identity. Add stimulation inside structure. And there are going to be people that say, but I don't like structure. Structure's boring, blah, 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 blah. Every single thing in life is a structure of some kind. Without structure, you are confused. And yes, I am getting firm with this because, quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of people saying, I can't do structure, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? You can't run a business profitably without structure. Guess what? You've got structure when you create content. That's structure. Okay, I'm going to create the content, then I've got to do visuals, and then I've got to do this, then I've got to do that. Guess what? That's structure. So I'm getting firm with you. You need the structure. If you want to make money in your business and you want to be able to onboard employees or whatever, you need structure. Okay. Now you might have new content angles. There might be deeper client conversations and there might be higher level problems to solve when you look at adjusting things. You might actually raise your own standards instead of chasing the newness. Now, those standards could be boundaries, it could be whatever it is, because often boredom fades when your expectations expand. I'm going to say that again. Often boredom fades when your expectations expand. And this is a form of maturity. I'm not saying that you're immature. I'm just saying it's, if you want to use the word wisdom, it's a level of wisdom. It's a level of awareness. And you don't need to react to every internal shift. As I said, reactions is for emergencies. What happens when you have internal shifts? You assess. And this is where experience in business really shows. As you have that experience, you realize that long-term success requires emotional regulation. And that is why I keep talking about reaction and responding. If you want long-term success, response is the way to go, not reaction. Because not every uncomfortable season in business requires a dramatic change. And you see it on social media, blah, oh, look at me, I've had to do this. And can I tell you, most of those are just fake. It is clickbait. There is so much clickbait out there now that you don't know what's real and what's not. Follow those that you know are authentic, that you know are real and are not creating clickbait. Because those people that are creating clickbait will eventually fade and you won't remember them. When you have change, it requires patience. And lasting growth includes neutral seasons, not expansion spikes. We need to rest. We need to relax. It is so important. Think about the earth. It's not growing all the time. It has times of rest and relaxation. And the ability to stay steady when things feel ordinary is what separates the professionals from the perpetual beginners. And I mean the perpetual beginners, the ones that feel like they're always in the beginning stage. Excitement is not the only metric of alignment. Now, if you're feeling bored with your business right now, pause before you interpret that as failure. You may not be stuck. You may simply be ready for a deeper level of refinement. Business doesn't stay electric forever, and they're not meant to. You can have periods of that electricity, and that is awesome. And that is going to happen in business. Businesses mature. There is wisdom. And so when this wisdom happens, your role shifts from chasing the adrenaline to working with intention. Because as I've said, growth doesn't require demolition. It requires discernment. And discernment in who you work with, including clients and coaches. Because not everyone is right for you, for your energy. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to refine what actually works instead of starting over just to feel something again. Thank you so much for watching, listening, subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting. I really do appreciate your time and your energy. Wishing you a beautiful day wherever you are in this world.